Hi guys! Today the recipe I chose by random from my great grandmother's recipe box is French dip sandwiches. For this recipe you'll need 1 lean beef roast, 3 to 4 pounds. Here I have just over 4 pounds. I couldn't find a large beef roast that was 3 to 4 pounds, so these are just over 2 pounds each. A half a cup of light soy sauce. I'm just going to use regular soy sauce. 1 low sodium beef bouillon cube. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but the ingredients will be in the comments. 1 bay leaf, 3 to 4 whole peppercorns, 1 teaspoon of dried rosemary, crushed, 1 teaspoon of dried thyme, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and then you'll also need bread or rolls of your choice. And I will be making some homemade rolls to go with this that I made in another video, which you can find here. Or you can check in my bread playlist, it'll be there. Before we get started with the instructions, I'm gonna go ahead and crush up my rosemary, which I'm gonna do in my mortar and pestle. If you don't have one of these, you can just do it in a blender. Just make sure that you watch it and it doesn't get too fine of a powder. This is what it looks like. You can see that it is crushed and in smaller pieces than the whole leaves, but it's not in a powder. Now I'll go ahead and start reading the instructions since we've got that done. The instructions first say, remove and discard all visible fat from roast, which I've already done. Usually you can find them already trimmed. Place in a slow cooker. So let's go ahead and do that. The instructions now say, combine soy sauce, bouillon, and spices, pour over roast. And instead of bouillon cubes, I'm actually going to use this organic, better than bouillon, the roasted beef base. And 1 teaspoon of this is equivalent to 1 bouillon cube. I'm just going to give it a whisk, then we'll go ahead and pour it over our roast beef. The instructions now say, add water to almost cover roast. I'm going to be doing 2 cups at a time. The water is just about covering the roast, and I'm using a pretty big crock pot. Depending on the size of your crock pot, you might need more or less water. It took about 4 cups for me to fill it up to the point we need. I also just wanted to point out that this is the book that the recipe is coming out of. If you've been watching my channel and seen my latest videos, we have seen recipes from this book before. If you're new here and you haven't seen this book yet, it's called The Country Cooking Recipe Collection, prize-winning low-fat recipes. And this book has many great recipes, and I'm excited to see what else it has. It now says cover and cook over low heat for 10 to 12 hours or until meat is very tender. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this on to low heat and get it cooking. We'll be back to check on this in 10 to 12 hours, and I'll see you then. It's been 10 hours, so now let's see what the instructions say. Remove meat from broth and shred with a fork. Serve on bread or rolls. And this recipe serves 12. Here we have our finished beef, and I'm going to go ahead and ladle the au jus sauce into a container. here we have our au jus. Now that we have our ingredients, let's go ahead and make a sandwich. I have a hoagie with provolone cheese. And here we have our French dip with au jus. I chose to thinly slice the meat, but you can also shred it like the recipe said. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you happen to like it or found it interesting, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future content. If you have any comments or questions, or if you happen to make this recipe, let me know in the comments section below. Bye y'all.